From startup grind to Supco, Steve Martocci on health priorities and building the future of supplementation. Guys, today we're going to dive into a topic that I get asked about constantly. It is health supplementation and why so many middle-aged men wait until they have achieved financial success to finally invest in their own well-being.
Mm.
It's also about trust, and there's so much noise out there. Everything seems to be a game changer. Uh, what else do we call it? There's basic biohacking ahead of the basics. Everyone's got something to sell you, tell you, recommend to you about what you should put on and in your body, and nothing is regulated. So, how do you
Hmm.
know how to choose what's best for you, what's behind the labels and the products? My guest today, Steve Martocci. You probably know him as the co-founder of GroupMe and Splice, two groundbreaking startups. But what you might not know is that behind the exits and accolades, Steve has battled weight, health, and the toll that an all-in startup life can take on your body and mind. So here we are, fast forward to today. Steve is healthier, happier, a new dad, and the founder of Supco, a company helping people take control of their supplement stacks and their health in a way that's clear, personalized, and finally trustworthy.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. This conversation is about transformation. It's about priorities and the reality of midlife. Stop sacrificing your health at the altar of your career. Welcome, Steve Martocci. Thanks for being here.
I'm super excited to be here. I mean, I feel like everything you just said, it's like these are just such relevant topics in my life. And like, honestly, I think I'm going to end up just a subscriber after this because it's good to hear how other people are going through this journey.
Now, I appreciate it very much. Let me ask, how old are you, just to start off?
Yeah, 43.
43.
Yeah,
Okay.
43.
Married, new dad.
Yeah, engaged. New
Okay.
dad got we have a 15-month-old. He's about to turn 15 months. And, we were planning to get married, at the start of the year, we were going to plan a wedding. And then we abruptly lost our house in the Palisades fire, which kind of put a lot of life on hold. Although we're having really nice conversations about it now. So.
Are you going to be back in the Palisades? Are you rebuilding? Are you relocating?
Yeah, it's a great
Oh,
question.
that's a huge.
That's all in flight. It's where we happen to live near PCH. It's a very unstable land there. And so the rebuild process is actually quite complicated. And, we really can't, without the town being there and schools being there, we're just going to kind of hold the land for a minute, figure it out. And we're setting up shop in Venice for the next couple of years. We got a rental that we move into in next week, actually.
Very nice. I'll be there in a couple of weeks. Our
Cool.
youngest is starting at LMU.
Cool. Amazing.
So we've been renting little places in and around Venice, Marina del Rey.
Great.
So we got to move him in. So we'll be out there much more in the
Cool.
near future.
Great.
Yes. So let me ask you, Steve, your backstory for those that are not familiar, including myself, deeply familiar on this. How do you introduce yourself today versus how you might have, 10 or 15 years ago?
It's a really interesting question. I think that the most fun thing now about telling people what I have done is that most likely one of the products I've built have touched their lives in some way. And that like is a really cool thing. Group text messaging, we kind of made it with GroupMe when it didn't exist. GroupMe is still like a top 10 app in the App Store at times, like 30 million monthly active type situation, uh, if not more. Blade is an iconic company kind of in New York City. So I grew up on Long Island and then lived in the city until this LA move. And so like anyone, knows that. And then Splice being like, if you're a musician, it's like kind of been a game changer for the music production process. And honestly, all those things were great and, had a really high hit rate with people. But then the Supco, I'm getting more feedback from this than any of them. And it's so cool that it's such a range of family members, but then every age demographic you can imagine. I mean, like the supplement industry is such a key pillar of health that is so gray that I tend to just tell people that now because they so in love with what we're doing.
Mm. Well, I think it's super timely. It seems like one, you're consistently ahead of the curve.
Hmm.
And you're right that this is something that touches everyone. It has
Yeah.
become, I don't know anybody now at almost any age, stage, gender, demographic you're talking that is not talking.
Babies, baby, I
Right.
got a baby probiotic,
Because
like
it starts like before kids are even
prenatals. Yeah,
born,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and it's
Wow.
like all this stuff that it's happening earlier and earlier, and going wider and wider,
Yep.
and even specialization in different categories and everything. And the thing is, like you mentioned earlier, it's like, who do you trust? Who do you listen to? What do you know about what you're putting in your body? You
Yeah.
hear these stories about, I think I'm taking this, and I found out that the thing I was taking
Yeah.
didn't even have the thing I wanted in it, you
Which
know?
has now
Right.
been the new stuff that we've been showing off. Yeah.
Or it has all this stuff that I didn't want to be
No.
taking,
Yeah.
or didn't think I was taking, it's in there. And my wife actually was the one who introduced me to the app. And,
Cool.
and she's going down that whole rabbit hole, in
Yep. Totally.
her own health and wellness and longevity journey. And at 56, and
Okay.
and
Yep.
and menopause and nutrition, and
Yeah.
and maintaining and preserving muscle and all these
Yeah.
other things that are there in acuity. Just started buying all this stuff, quite frankly. And then the
Yeah.
conversation led to, well, what are you buying and why are you buying it? And what do you know? Do we even know what's in it? Like, who are we listening to? And I looked at
Yeah.
even guys like Mark Hyman, who are on your, I guess,
Yep.
advisory board, and Darshan Shah. And it's like,
Yep.
okay, like, how do you find again trusted resources? So I just think it's so cool what you're and doing, and beyond cool, just super, super valuable. I got to ask you this, just because you passed over. Where in Long Island did you grow up?
I grew up in Manhasset, the
Oh,
North Shore.
okay, town over. I grew up in Great Neck.
That is a town over. That's amazing. That's really
So
cool.
that is a super small world, and very
Yeah.
familiar with Blade as well. I was watching a friend of mine shoot video from a Blade
Yeah. It's
seaplane
fun.
today, leaving Manhattan, I think 34th Street Heliport,
Yep.
and out
Yep.
to the Hamptons. So
Yeah.
connecting more dots there. So a Manhasset boy out to California again. I'm
Yep.
a
Yep.
Great Neck guy to Texas. So
Well, I can tell you the story from the beginning because it'll get back up to, if you're a Manhasset kid, you either play lacrosse or was like pressured to play lacrosse or ridiculed for not playing lacrosse, right? Like it was like one of those towns. And my dad was a lacrosse coach. So I grew up really, and I'm tall. I'm 6'5", right? So everyone
mm,
was like, "Oh man, you got to play the sports. You got to be on the basketball team. You got to be on the football team. You got to be." And I would go do all these things. And I'm telling you, I would go through an entire football season, two-a-day practices, all that, and I would not gain any muscle mass. I would not lose weight. I would not gain muscle. It's like not really, doesn't really make sense, right? Like, so, we would see doctors, endocrinologist, and my mom had had a thyroid condition, and we were trying to figure it out. And, I was on the low end of normal for thyroid, that the doctors weren't going to do anything. So I just kind of struggled throughout all of high school playing sports, kind of gave up on that in, college because, I never got good at it and got really overweight. Like I would hit 300 pounds, I would say. I saw 299 in the scale. I wouldn't let myself see the three, so I stopped getting on the scale. And I really like me. My canvas for creation is software and code, so I love to build. That kind of became my refuge. Um, and eventually started building things that I just wanted to solve my own problems. And GroupMe was made to go to concerts with our friends because there was no group text messaging. And after we sold that, it was a quick journey. It was like a 11-month, 13-month journey with Skype. We sold it to them, and I was like, all right, I got to get healthy now. And I was in New York City building tech then, and building a social app that we would just go out and drink every night and come into the office hungover and then eat a bacon, egg, and cheese, and the cycle continued. So it was rough on my body, and I was probably about 270 when we sold. And I was like, all right, I got to get this right. I got to get healthy now. I got to live. So, like, that point you were making earlier about why it takes time to figure it out. I think there's some people who get to integrate it. And I just, I did not figure out that integration until there was this point. So I found a functional medicine doctor who started doing, like, lab work. We would be able to do experiments like, let's do the thyroid treatments. Let's experiment with your hormones, like try to figure out what would, help me make a transformation. And that included like a supplement stack and no joke, diet and exercise, like that trainer 3 days a week, like I had to force myself to go. But it worked. And I had a pretty big transformation. I was as lowest I've been is probably like 206, 208 type land, but healthy. And people noticed the transformation and they would ask me what I did. And no one really wanted to hear diet and exercise because they hear that every time. It was 10 years before Ozempic was a thing. So that wasn't the secret magic pill. But I had this stack of my medications and supplements that I would take. It was this outdated Google spreadsheet that I would share them. And like honestly, like most people didn't do anything with it. I don't think. Like maybe they started a supplement or something. But finding doctors that were going to write you thyroid or Clomid or things like that. Like it was kind of like before that was now so mainstream. So it kind of just went away and it was my own thing. Went on, did Splice and Blade and, ran Splice for 8 years, 10 years, somewhere in that range, and got really burned out doing it through COVID. We built a big business there. It's a $130 million ARR business in music creation. And I needed downtime. I needed to get my family going, which, we now have Jackson, which is amazing. And in my downtime, like there, eventually idle hands kicked in. It was probably a year of traveling the world and doing some cool shit. And then, I needed to build again and I wanted to go back to health and that core insight on the stack and wanting to share that better than an outdated Google spreadsheet is kind of how, Suck was born. And then it was then what you said about all of the problems in the industry. It was clear, like in the first week, it was clear that people didn't know who to trust. People didn't know what to take. People are overpaying for things. People don't take stuff at the right time. Like, people overtake stuff. I had a friend who told me their mom she had dementia-like symptoms, and it turns out she was mega dosing vitamin D, and it was literally creating like dementia-like symptoms, and they had to stop.
Mm.
And so like all these problems emerged, and I was like, you know what? We're just gonna make sense of the whole thing, the end-to-end supplement experience. And we're going to do it in a way that is not designed to just say you should take more. Because everything is kind of e-commerce driven. Every time someone, goes on and tells you an article about how great something is and they have a buy my product link or buy my thing after, and the answer just seems to be more. So we've kind of designed a system to try to help people really make sense of things to, end-to-end platform of research, taking in your health goals, finding new protocols then and building personalized supplement plans that you can follow from a nutrient perspective, not a product perspective. And then once you've got that kind of nutrient plan, then it goes, here are the recommended products. And we've tracked over 200,000 products in the platform. We've scored over 20,000 of those with a trust score rating, which is turning out to kind of become the industry standard, I would say, at this point for defining trust. And then you get to put all that in your stack, and we help give you a score of your stack and help you make changes, save money, align better to your demographics and health goals. And the stuff you'll see from us soon is about, is this working for you? Because we want to be just as excited when you stop taking something that doesn't work than when you try something new. And there's not a lot of people who are willing to be in your court and say, you know what, you don't need that.
I think what's really to me like the exciting aspect of it. I mean, there's a lot of these, but it's what you just said about it not just being more.
Yeah,
Because more is not better. It's something we talk about a lot. Better
yeah,
is better is better, and by definition, supplement would be to supplement something that you are deficient in. If you're not deficient, you technically do not need
correct.
a supplement. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but the way that I've kind of digested this material over time is, hey, like if you know where you stand, if you are, if you do have a good lifestyle, good diet, exercise, all of these things, you get your blood work done, you figure out like, realistically what you may be deficient in, what you may need more of, or
Yeah,
what your real goals are, well, then you start bringing in supplements. So it might not even be that a vitamin D brand is better or worse than the other one, or this one or that. It might be you don't need extra vitamin D, to your
yeah,
point, or this. So I think it gets into what's exciting to me about this. Like we're not being sold on just more supplements.
Right.
Okay. So, but if you do know that you need supplements or certain supplements or to build your own stack,
Yep.
my stack may not be your stack. It probably shouldn't be. Nobody's stack should be probably identical per se, unless again, there's medical reason to show, hey, we're both pretty
Yep.
alike,
We're both similar.
Yeah, so
Yep.
even when people ask me all the time, well, what do you take? My answer is, well, it doesn't really matter what I take.
Yeah. Right.
It really matters what you need. It's like I've got ulcerative colitis, I'm
Sure.
53 years old,
Yeah.
I
Right.
train every day. I do this. Like we're all genetically
Very different.
different, in here. So it becomes, okay, one, what do I need to supplement at all? What might my stack look like? And then once I figure out what I need and what my stack should or could look like, okay, now what are the trustworthy brands or
Yes.
products
Yeah. Yeah.
that
I
I
mean,
that I build into my stack? And I just think like part of the world's fucking out of order. Okay.
yeah.
Like it's let me go on Instagram and listen to some
Buy
guy with
this
his shirt,
product. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Some guy
Right.
with his
Yeah.
shirt off,
I know.
tell me that I should be mega dosing or micro dosing
Yeah.
whoever's paying him a few $1,000s a
Yeah.
month to talk about the game-changing new product, that's out there.
And not only that, like what your point was too. So like when I think of a good stack is something that is an evolving process. Like sometimes I struggle with, the blends or the blueprint that's like, here's 75 things you should put in your body and you should put in body at once. And you're like, what? And I've had friends who started these things and they're like, yeah, it made me sick or this didn't feel good on it. And like, there's no way to figure out which of the ingredients were the thing that made you not feel good. So you're just like out. So like for me, a good stack is about prioritizing the things that are most core to you, build that, get the right products, take them for a period of time, and then refine and remove and add. They're like living, it's like a living, thing. And you're building a relationship with it. And like you're right. Like if you go look at my stack, I got like 29 products in it. And but that 29 products has come from 15 years of refinement, like, and new stuff comes in, new stuff goes out all the time. So and most people don't even have a log or a history of that. Most people can't have a conversation with their doctors because they can't list out all this stuff. The doctor doesn't even know what they're taking. They can't even get their nutrient totals. They don't know how much vitamin D they're actually getting because they're sneaking vitamin D into so many different things. And so like that's all on the platform. You can see all your nutrient totals, you can see your history over time. Like that's like you can have a conversation with your doctor about what you actually take. And then it's this mix of also being able to view, you could go view mine, you can go to, sup.co/Steve and you're going to go see my stack. But you can then instead you can see Mark Hyman's stack, what he takes every day, but you can go see his protocols of what he recommends for other people. And then if you go on our pro plan, you can actually build a very personalized plan that pulls in a lot more data and stuff to kind of get it really more tailored to you. Soon that'll have biomarkers and health data and things like that to get even more tailored. So yeah, it's like, the industry is so hard because what you said, it's out of order. And then honestly, what you saw in the creatine study we did, everyone's pushing gummies right now, and
Mhm.
four of the top six gummies on Amazon had no creatine in them, or a fairy dusting of creatine. You'd have to eat 2,000 of them to get a dose, And so that's the sad part. You finally are like, okay, cool. I'm going to use Amazon. I'm going to find the best rated thing on Amazon. The good the highest rated Amazon gummies were the ones that had no creatine. They just taste good. So
That
they, so
Yep, because
yeah,
they're the ones with the best marketing and the ones with the best
yeah,
flavor profile.
correct.
Typically, how most of these get marketed, or what
Yep.
we're even seeing in some other areas, which has been we release with one set of ingredients, build market share, gain
It's a lot.
influence and traction, and
Yeah,
then we change, we shift the formula
yeah,
for scale and for mass production. And that part we don't tell you about, until other studies and things come out there. I do want to circle back to kind of your entrepreneurial
yeah,
story a little
sure.
bit, but I don't want to pass over this since we were talking on the business side of Subco. And I'd love your take on, I think there are a couple of demographics or maybe market opportunities within this. And I'm curious if you're hitting them all or kind of you went
Yeah,
into this thinking this is going to be more of the one. I think on one end, there are people that aren't doing anything.
yeah.
They're like paralysis by
They're
analysis.
newbies. Yeah,
Right.
they
They're
haven't done
not doing
anything.
anything.
Yeah,
And because they can't make a decision because they've never done anything and they
Yep.
don't know what to do and they're not in great health. They don't know where
Yep.
to start. And all the information is so overwhelming again that's out there, including all their friends and yentas and everyone telling them
Yep.
again what they should do. And then the second demo that I see are the over indexers, the ones that are doing everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Biomaxers.
yes,
They're not even biohackers. Like the thing that I'm struggling with so much on that front is that let's plot out the amount of time it takes to do, my morning journal entries, then my cold plunge, then my workout, then my sauna, then my, 15-minute meditation. Then I'm going to go do all my stuff. Like, what the fuck? Like, I got a 15-month-old. Like, you really have that kind of time? Like, what the fuck do you do during the day? And so, like, that there's this difference, I think, between the biomaxers and like a true biohacker in my mind is like, okay, I got this much time, and like, what is the highest efficiency thing I can do, to accommodate a reasonable lifestyle?
I think you're spot on with that. And I think where we run into trouble are peoples that are in the middle. I say it's messy in the middle, and what
Hmm.
our mantra
Yeah.
is about mastering the middle.
Yeah.
You can't do nothing because hope is not a strategy,
No.
and paralysis by analysis is not a strategy for
Yeah.
longevity and health and happiness. But you also can't do everything.
No.
Even if you happen to be the multimillionaire with all the time in the world. Again, it doesn't sound like so much fun. It still sounds exhausting to me.
Yeah.
And what you described, it is to me just like, okay, that's an immediate turn off. And I have tons of the toys and I love doing all that stuff and
Yeah.
everything else. It's like, hey, that doesn't sound like a great day to start off with 75 pills and 18-step morning routine, 4 hours of this, 5 hours of this, and then repeat that overall. So what is to you like mastering the middle
Yeah.
look like?
I love this because it is such a top of mind thing after having a kid, right? Like it is figuring out time management, figuring out, what is the optimal things for me to do. I have had to, I'm kind of in the I've got 90 minutes, 3 to 4 days a week kind of lot vibe, which I know is not maybe not like as much. Maybe, I'm sure some of your listeners and readers are doing stuff every day and kind of nonstop. And I love the concept. And just as first year dad, like this is what I got, right? And so like and then the reality that I needed, like being true to yourself, that if you're missing that, like what do you can't that you can't like you have to set a threshold that you like because like I know for me work wise I can wake up in the morning if I start working like it's over. I'm not going to work out. Like I have to like get my thing. I have to do the hard thing first kind of vibe. And so I've had to use a personal trainer. I've had to kind of like set pretty clear boundaries on like this is the non-negotiables and I need someone else to help hold me accountable because that's just me, right? Like I don't have the health work ethic as strong as I wish I did. Um, so I think those things are really important, but I also think you need to work from the right set of data. So the couple things for me, I was doing functional medicine labs, since I was young, but I'm an investor and good friends with, Mark and uh, Jonathan over at Function Health. But like, you got to get the diagnostics and get an understanding of what your baseline is. There's like so much that can be uncovered. But things for me, do a full function labs panel or something similar. Do a full body MRI, find out what's going on inside, and
Like
do
a
a
Pronuvo type
yeah,
one?
yeah.
Okay.
Pernuvo or Ezra, they have an Ezra over at they got acquired by Function. And then do a calcium scan of your heart, preferably a Clearly or a heart flow. Um, I have been tracking my heart plaque since I was 30. No one, probably one of the younger people who are asymptomatic to be doing this. I had nothing at age 30. At 35, I had the beginnings of heart plaque, and at 40, it's still progressing. And I've had to be on an aggressive treatment of this, or the 50s for me may have been the end of the line. So it's too many people are walking around with a ticking time bomb in their heart and have no idea. And it's a simple, the basic one, not even the Clearly. The cool thing about the Clearly and the heart flow is you get an AI analysis and they can break down if it's hard plaque and soft plaque, and it's like it's great. But even a basic calcium score to know if you have plaque at all can save your life. Um, and now I'm going through a really weird one. Last 24 hours has been honestly a bit of a whirlwind. I might get a little emotional on it, but um, My brother has had a very weird thing since he was young. He has a cardiomyopathy since they discovered his 20s, which
Mm,
is like not okay. Um, and just yesterday, he found out that they found the cause, and the cause is this gene mutation that is extremely hereditary. Like it's the dominant, past thing. So it's a 50-50 shot that I have it. And the one of the side effects is an inability to gain muscle. So my whole childhood issues and things like that I've been dealing with, we may have finally found the cause. And I'd rather not find it, not have this, and this not be the case. Um, but genetics, like I don't have the answer yet on how much genetic work to do, because a full sequencing of your genome can unlock like a lot of shit that just makes you scared and paranoid. But like
mm.
that's my new like for me, this health journey is like a constant journey. And like right now I'm at genetics, which is a new frontier for me on it. But I think those three, like the work from the data set of a function labs, a full body MRI, and a cardiac calcium score, and you've got a great baseline to build a routine from.
I want to circle back to that entrepreneurial
Yeah,
journey that you were
great.
describing. So when your lax career was not going to be
Yeah,
was
yeah,
not going to be the thing,
yeah,
um, was it? Did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
yeah, yeah. I knew since I tried to register giftcertificates.com in sixth grade. I wanted to own a software company since I was a kid, just tinkering around with computers. I thought they were so cool.
Did
Um,
you go to college or skip
I
that
did.
step?
I went to Carnegie Mellon, and one of the top schools in the country for computers. Computer science is they're the best. Them and MIT kind of vibes at. But I wasn't a good enough student really, or disciplined enough at that time in my life to make it through the CS program. So I did the information systems program, which is a bit more of like a product manager, a bit of hands-on programming too, but really translating it to the business world. And it was great. I will say I think the majority of what I learned was self-taught, but yeah, I did go to school for it.
Mm. Tell me if you see this also.
And in the world of just one last thing, in the world of AI, knowing what the education program is going forward is a complete unknown. Like it is just, it's like I know kung fu from the Matrix at this point. And like what I have turned into as a software engineer is I'm basically personally a team of 10 plus, because I use robots and AI to kind of build. We've built all of Subco with 3 full-time engineers and myself, which is, from a startup perspective, a very minimal, that's a skeleton squad compared to what I used to do. So it's a really unique time.
Well, now I'll shift gears for a second on something. You made me think of something. Okay.
Sure.
So with an 18-year-old going to start college
Uh-huh.
in LA right
Yeah.
now, and
Yeah.
I've got a 22-year-old as of today. It's my
Great.
son's birthday, and he's a senior in college in the business school.
Okay.
You have Jackson, you said.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
15 months?
Yep.
No. What are we telling these kids? Like, if
Yeah.
Jackson was 22 or 18 today, okay,
Yeah.
my kids are 20. What are you telling them?
It's really interesting. Like I would say if I was at the precipice of a college decision right now, I would try to go into robotics. I think it's a really interesting, like I think the software is um, you know the pace of what the transformations happening in software is in and information in general is so dramatic, but the transfer of the power of the information to the physical world, there's still like a gap there in a lot of cases. And so understanding how to bridge, like if I'm skating to where a puck is going, I'd be like, let's start figuring out how to bridge the infinite power of the information into the physical world. So I'd be really interested in the robotic space. Would probably be a spot that I would nudge a kid into the direction of. Buy them a Lego set to like build stuff and just do a little nudging. Um, and then on the like, if they don't feel like that's like a drive, it's really about them becoming superhumans, because you can become a superhuman with the AI right now. And like the answer is we don't fucking know. We don't know where it's all going. But if you're on the edge of the tools, and if you can really know what you want to exist in the world, you can do more as a single person on the top of the tools than any 20-person team could do 4 years ago. Like that's how nuts it kind of is getting. So I would just encourage them to be deeply curious, deeply interested in a vision of the world they want to see, and then learn these tools and stay on top of it to figure out how to bring that vision to light because it is more powerful than ever what we've got at our fingertips.
So I went down this path, and it seems like you did, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs went down this path that you earlier described. Like we get we get unhealthy. We go
Yeah,
all in on our work.
yeah, yeah, really.
And we're young and we go all in
Yeah,
on our work. And the next thing we know, we're just buying bigger pants. We're
yeah,
not looking at the scale.
yeah,
We're networking, partying, drinking, whatever we're doing. And
yeah,
then like we sell
yep,
or something and get some money.
right,
Then we think about getting healthy. And we kind of do.
yep,
Then married and the kid or family and the kid.
yep,
Then we start worrying, oh shit, okay, can I stay healthy, in here because I'm not sleeping as well. I'm doing all these other things. And then I find they're growing up, leaving the nest. Oh, okay, can get healthier again.
yeah, right,
And it's like this thing. If you had to go back in time,
yeah,
like do you think these things are mutually exclusive? Meaning like, hey, the all-in entrepreneur really is kind of all in, or man, do I think it would have been better or even different? Like, do you think I would have been able to even balance,
yeah,
my health? And it's not like I feel like I read this almost every day or hear from other entrepreneurs. Like when I was building my company, and then I found myself there's another story at 200
yep,
pounds, and I used to
yep,
be a runner and an Ironman and everything, and now I'm getting it back,
yeah.
kind of thing.
I love the question. I mean, I think the one thing I felt like that was probably implied with what you said, but is missing for a lot of people is one, they're like social development and mental health development too, not just the
Mm.
physical. Like there are
Yep.
people who run at success so hard, so young, they don't even know what to do after they sell. They're like broken. Like they're, oh my God, I let my whole life kind of go by and not like I don't even know what fun is. And then they go on these, then they go down like psychedelic journey paths or anything to kind of just find themselves.
I call
So
them the three M's. I hear from them all the time. The three M's, the miserable midlife millionaire.
there you go. Like
It's like
so look, I feel like I did a really good job of having at least my social and kind of spiritual path kind of integrated. And so that didn't feel like it suffered. Like I don't think I ever hit that lonely, kind of part, but the health suffered. So can you get all three of them right? You know, I hope so. I think that like for me, with it didn't have the feedback loop of, seeing progress when I would go to the gym or like, had been so heavy that even when I would lose weight, I wouldn't look good. Like it was hard for me to get the feedback loop because that's kind of what drives so many of our entrepreneurial people is the like dopamine hits and feedback loop of success and like wanting to just drive towards something. And when I just wasn't getting it under my health, I let that one fall off. And so like, but then, from a fun perspective, I was a jam band guy as a Manhasset, as a Long Islander is. I saw Fish since I was in 10th grade, like seen, you know, the hundreds of shows now. It's kind of crazy. So I've like had my social life and my like that stuff developed. Um, after Splice, I was definitely in a bit of I went through a bad breakup. It was post COVID and I was like in this leadership fatigue. I needed to work on my mental health. And so that was I joined a men's group that has been really powerful for me. And we would meet once a week for 2 hours. It was very intense work that we did. And I worked through a lot of the untapped stuff that in my individual journey. But here's the weird thing: if I really go back to being 28 and going out drinking and building our app and like I don't know, man. Like I don't know what I would change. Like I don't know that I would be maybe if I like when Splice came along, I was like, okay, you have to do the trainer. It has to happen the 4 days a week. Like I didn't have any money. I was like 60 grand in debt. I couldn't pay for a trainer, like so I think some of us, there's a lot of different paths to success. There's a lot of different journeys on the health journey. Um, I don't think it could have sustained it much longer than when I finally did it in my 30s. Like if I hadn't had success till 35 or something, I think my physical situation would have been significantly harder hole to dig out. Um, so, yeah, I don't know how other people answer it, but like the I feel like I really adapted to the times, and I'm much happier that I didn't have to sustain that lifestyle much longer and could be healthy again.
Mm.
Because I think I would have paid a high price for it then.
What was your process to finding that men's group? Because I
Love that
find
question.
similar to
Yeah, yeah,
supplements,
yeah,
like, holy shit. Like,
yeah,
there's all of a sudden, like, especially with the toxic masculinity and the
totally.
vulnerability and that all these groups and retreats and workshops and
Yeah,
places to go, they've all sprung up. And, you could find yourself in the woods in a talking circle for 10 grand, and made a
yeah,
lot, or you could find
yeah,
yourself in an island. And I think a lot of guys are really looking
yeah,
for whether that's connection or collaboration or friendship or health, or some of it may be shallow and wide, some of it pretty narrow and deep, out there. And they're
totally.
really, again, struggling to find what it is that they're really looking for. And it's another area where I think, there isn't somebody who's captured that market, because a lot of even the guys
It's
I hear
very
from,
hard to
it's like,
scale.
it's
Yeah,
like, oh shit. Also, like, by the time they found, like, they've made a number of mistakes, like I said, they don't have the money or the time to like do the thing that they now know is right. It's like, oh my, like, why I started at all the wrong places, and now, like, I don't have
yeah.
the runway to keep going,
I
to
know,
where
I
I want to
know.
be. So I'd
Well, I'll
love
tell you
your
my
process.
story. Yeah. So, it was kind of like mid COVID or getting towards coming. Yeah, no, it was kind of still COVID-y, and there was like one quiet event that like I went to, and met a friend who was like, friends with a lot of my friends, and he had been kind of leading this 10-person, mostly all friends, men's group, and there were people I knew, but I just wasn't deeply close with yet. And we just hit it off, and he invited me in. And the thing about it, and this is a free thing, this is just the 10 of us kind of doing our thing. And it's gone through a lot of different evolutions. People have come in and out of it. But I think that the key, there's like a couple things that I think make up like the successful work on this direction. Is like, one, are you capable of being present to what emotion is most present in your body at a given point? Like, can you just drop into that and not have a big story around it, but just like really feel into yourself? I mean, I'm not kidding. I've had the most psychedelic experiences just like dropping into emotions, how they're imprinting on my body, having them be seen, giving them a voice. Like it gets trippy. And like the amount of release and clarity and just tension release that you can feel once you like just identify what is sitting inside you is extremely powerful stuff. So if that's reachable, that state maybe like maybe the retreats can get you there. This was a format that it was kind of based on Everyman, which is a
Yeah,
men's group foundation.
I actually just I spoke at one of their online calls about a month ago.
Cool.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, and we've evolved our format a lot since that, but that's what it was on. Like, so there's the camaraderie, I think, of the guys, because we've gone through so much together, and we care about what's in each other's lives, and staying up with each other. And I didn't realize how much harder that gets too, especially if you have kids, is like a whole freaking new thing. Um, but so the camaraderie side, then that real ability to kind of tap into the emotion that are present inside you, and then the ability to hold space for someone else is like the thing in the men's group that is extremely unique, and not the same as like going to therapy or anything, but really being able to guide someone else through that process of the kind of introspective walk with their emotions. It's a real powerful skill, and it can be really fulfilling when you're able to do it, um, for someone else.
Mm. Did that stuff come naturally to you?
No, no. I remember being in my first men's group, hearing someone, talk, they were talking through something. And I immediately was like, yeah, me too, man. Like I feel that. And like, immediately wanted to take away his pain versus like let him sit in this exploration for a minute. And then when I would go, and for me, I immediately would be like telling stories about, well, this is because of this, and then I'm this. It was very hard for me to drop in initially, um, and then holding space for someone else is like you're nervous every time still, because it's a delicate act. So yeah, no, I would not say that it came naturally to me.
Mm. You'd mentioned psychedelics and that experience even
Sure,
without psychedelics. I have not gone down that path.
sure,
Yet I know more and more people that have gone down that path and are. I have the same questions or apprehensions around psychedelics that I do around other supplements and stuff too. Like, who's giving me
sure.
this stuff? Where am I
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
this stuff?
I
All this,
get
I
it.
know, Pedro. We'll get okay.
Yeah,
So my questions become like, is there any way, or maybe you're not even looking at this, is there any way to really know? Again, you're back to this trust thing in all of these
sure.
areas. I don't know whether that's considered a supplement or will become considered a supplement or certain things like that. But I don't know the difference in any of those areas between various mushrooms and psilocybins and other things, and guys handing each other stuff and
Yeah,
going,
I
"Hey,
mean,
like this has really helped me," and calling it medicine. So I don't know.
yeah, look, I mean, there the chain of trust on that is very unique. I will say that it's been pretty crazy to watch after coming out of this year of parenthood and going to a party recently and watching everybody now having things in gummy form that are like professionally produced and like all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of love and attention going into this space, it seems right now. But like I think honestly, in on the mushrooms front, like I think if you look it up, that the leading cause, the least amount of health related hospital visits or anything from any of the kind of drugs and things like that, it's like mushrooms is like at the bottom of that, the like far like tiny little bottom of that list.
Mm.
And so like look, I'm a weird character where I have had plenty of experiences on all this stuff, but I'm not one that goes out and becomes a big I let other people do the kind of talking about the psychedelic journey. I mean, you can kind of imply from going to a couple hundred fish shows what my journey has looked like. But I, for some reason, have never really integrated that into my story or my message. Um, and because I do think it's a deeply personal one. And, I'm so enamored with the transition that is happening right now and how accessible these things have become and how much love and facilitation is being put into some of the retreats, the sound ceremonies. Like there are people pouring love and their life into creating these experiences and unlocking these things in people's hands. And that is a lot more love and life than that some of these supplement manufacturers might be putting into making a quick buck off, you know, some product they rebranded on Alibaba on Amazon. So, again, I'm not the one that goes out and is it sounds like, maybe Pedro or someone who chatted in the chat here is going to be the one that's going to give you the push a little more, but
He'll keep trying. He'll keep trying.
yeah, yeah.
No doubt. We had Mike Lazaro on last week.
Oh, Mike's a head too. Yeah, I know Mike.
Okay, so I was going to ask you if you knew, and Mike was talking about all of his fish shows that he's gone to and his
Yep. I've
story and
seen him at
everything.
plenty of them. Yep.
Also, personal health journey. What a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah,
His
now he's got a book out, so he's kind of out there again. He's putting himself out there a bit, which is cool. So
yep, exactly. Uh, taking it back again. You're a builder.
yeah,
It seems like, I mean, again, like you've had multiple successes. Seems like you get pulled back into building, not because you have to, if I'm getting that part
yep,
right, but because you want to and you get to. What was the big pull with Subco,
yeah.
now?
Yeah. So the line I've been saying recently has been like, when people are like, "Why would you do this again? It's like so hard and like you're crazy." And I'm like, it's kind of like telling a musician not to make another album because that's just like kind of how it is for me. Like code is my canvas. This is what I like to build. And again, it always works for me when I have something that is deeply personally motivating. Group Me was made for our friends. Splice was made to help my musician friends. This is made to help our help people get healthy in the way that I did, and my sliver of it, which I was like really untapped in this in the supplement side of things. And it's I also think the feedback loop of love and support from people who are talking about how needed this is, and just the praise, it really helps fuel me to drive more and build more. And I just love it. I really do. I'm running it a bit differently this time, I would say. I'd say first time entrepreneurs, you care about your product. They say second time entrepreneurs, you realize you need to care about your distribution. And third time is kind of like doing it with people you like. For me, my investors are my old friendlies. My team is my old friendlies. We're having a lot of babies on the team, and it's going at a pace that feels really uh, healthy and sustainable, which I think is really important. Um, but yeah, I am a builder, and it's I derive a lot of pleasure from it.
Where does somebody start with Supco? Like, let's, if
Totally.
not to
Yeah.
skip the step of, again, because you were really great about talking about how getting your blood work done and knowing your baselines, getting on that. So, assuming you've done that
Yeah.
in there, where does that, where does the guy like me start
Yeah.
with Supco?
So here's the thing. If you've already got us, like this is the fun thing. The entry points are really good no matter if you're on that total noob spectrum or like even the biomaxer, if you will. If you've got a stack, come in, make it really easy to scan the barcodes of your products so that you don't have to search for them. You can search for them if you're not in front of them, and get a stack score. And you'll be able to basically see what your nutrient totals are, whether or not you're aligned to your health goals, get a good analysis. And that just been serving people really well as a jumping point for like, cool, well, I'm really interested in like doing more around, testosterone. I'm interested more in doing stuff about longevity, and like get your baseline in there and make sure you're not taking anything that's like really poorly rated. I think that was one of the shockers for me. Having built the stack for like 10 years, I just had a bunch of stuff I had been taking from finding it on Amazon years ago that was really poorly scored. And so I've swapped a lot of things out. Um, and then from there it's kind of a nice little choose your own adventure, right? Like you can go in, try to save some money. You can go in there and try to take less pills. You can go in there and go after a new health goal, or build a personalized plan. So um, and also I would say this: people are obsessed with our content. So we're doing these like a couple emails a week. Some of them are science corners, some of them are testing series. They're like, man, the amount of feedback I'm getting about just getting on the content updates. It's a fun one to kind of get the newly, discover new stuff too. Like, nattokinase, we just did one on that did really well. And that's like that one's super interesting to me as someone with heart plaque. There's some, research that it could be slowing that down, if not even, reversing it a little bit, which is a kind of a crazy statement. So I'm going to get that next clearly scan soon and get to see how the impact of that has been going. So yeah, I mean, jump right in. And if you don't, you've got Mark's protocols on there, Darshan, a bunch of other great doctors. You can get started quite easily, and building a stack from scratch if you don't have one now.
Does this cost anything?
No, so like vast majority of the site is free. We just added some premium features recently. That is the deeply personalized supplement plan. I think like from here you'll see deeper levels of personalization, wearables integrations, those biomarker data. That stuff's going to end up uh, most likely behind this like pro paywall. But like everything I just described before that is totally free. We really believe that this is a huge market. You've got 74% of Americans taking supplements, 55% succeed at taking it regularly, and like 90% know they should be or doing it better. So the market is huge. I really like to build category defining companies that think about like, so many of the brands here, they're charging you too much money. They're all just a CAC LTV optimization game, trying to acquire you and make sure you stick around for a couple months. No one is playing the long game here. No one is thinking about your healthy outcomes and having you as a customer for decades. So um, you'll
Which is
see
ironic being in the supplement and health and longevity space,
it's
right?
ridiculous. It like honestly makes me so mad. I remember I don't blow their spot up, but I remember hitting a supplement brand up after year 5 of being taking their product, being like, can I just get like a discount? Like you've made your CAC LTV back many times. I want to take it for life. And they said no. And I was like, okay, I'm bailing. Like, not cool. Like you don't have, there's no customer loyalty. It's wild.
Mm.
Um, so there's stuff that we were interested in doing in that side of the space. There's, breaking trust score to the next level so that everyone can get their stuff tested the way we do it. It's really from a business perspective, it is one of those really, it's kind of like, the Jeff Bezos, like your margin is my opportunity. It's kind of like that on a different level here. It's like just being honest and playing the long game is kind of our opportunity. So it's really for me nice to know that I'm doing it with a high integrity as well.
How do you guys do your ratings?
Yeah, it's a 29 attribute system. We have a team of people that goes out and does as much of the research they can. They're emailing customer support. They're like scouring for filed documents. Like it's a ton of work. And then, usually the brand will get into a dialogue with the brand and kind of make sure that we've got things right. And Yeah, it's taken some time. It's taken some work to do it and do it in a way that feels fair. I think that some of the previous kind of companies in the space have felt like they have had too much kind of subjective biases in them. And then some of the testing companies will, be in with brands in a way that they won't publish failed tests. So like there's some things that I think we're doing really right that we're going to keep building off of.
Are you in kind of a love-hate relationship with a lot of these brands and companies? I would assume that again, careful with making assumptions. The companies that are doing it right are excited about Subco
That's right. That's right.
because they're confident they're going to have a very good trust score
Yeah.
and it's going to be they're going to be rated well. The companies that taste great but don't have anything, or whatever it might be, are not exactly excited to be talking to your people.
No, no. So the thing that's been great is the brands that have done the work and the brands that have, like you said, good scores and they love us because they've just spent so much money on this, and people just don't care enough. It hasn't been presented in a way that I think people have been able to digest very well. You'll see like NSF certified, like yay, I'm certified. What does it mean? Like how do I get to the so I think something about how we've done the score and also been this consumer portal has done a really good job of like making it mean something, which I think is a really good spot. Um, you know, I will say that some of the brands have done some pretty cool, like I think we're trying to bend the arc of the industry in the right direction, and we've watched brands that we thought would get mad about stuff that we've called out actually make changes, which have been very, very cool. Like, we've gotten titanium dioxide out. That's the thing that Maha got out of Skittles, and these whitening agents they're banned in the EU and stuff, and we've watched them get taken out of supplements, and we're trying to do as little gotcha vibes as we can. It's really easy to, make a stink about heavy metals and greens powders and things like that when you don't understand how much heavy metals in a carrot, like, so there's like, we're trying not to just be gotcha people. We're trying to really like push things in the right direction.
Mm. Where are you as kind of come to between now that you mentioned like the Maha movement, if you
Mhm.
will, and then the traditional medicine. We're
Yeah,
seeing all kinds of upheaval and
totally.
proposed changes, and it seems like we've got doctors and scientists on
Yep.
one side,
Yep.
and we've got, if you will, kind of like brand owners, biohackers, influencers, if you will, on the other side. And again, like, where's the middle? Like,
Yeah. This
where's the
it's a
middle?
battle. Talk about it a lot. It's the battle of the individual and the institution. It's been raging recently. I think we've hit a line where there's no like there's I think we were digging our heels into one or the other for a long time. And I think we're trying to move much into a more integrated space of like, okay, cool. Let me understand what N equals one data is worth. Let me understand what clinical data is worth. And let me try to make sense of this. And I feel like that is the epicenter of the self-directed health movement and a real role that I think SUPCO plays in the industry and the kind of health journey. And so I think you need sources that are able to put you know, institutional data individual experiences, expert recommendations, and then network data that we start gathering about, how long are products staying in people's stacks, what stuff's coming out, are people reporting side effects, like kind of just start aggregating it and let people make sense of, like, have agency over their health to make the decision themselves and feel like they like finally get it and are confident in what they're doing. And I think it's a mix of all of those modalities being easily presented and presented in an unbiased way. Like, that some influencer may be pushing something, and that's okay. You just got to know that that's where they're coming from, like, and don't take, like, I really worry about one of the things I struggle with watching, I have a younger half brother and, younger generation that does get caught up behind some of these loudest voices winning on the internet. That scares the crap out of me. And so, hopefully we can kind of sit in the middle of this raging battle of the individual and the institution.
Mm. Couple of quick ones for you as we
Yeah.
round out this hour here. What's your favorite daily supplement?
My favorite daily. Look, I did bring up the nattokinase because I'm super interested in seeing it. Like, this is something that I really hope has a big impact on, my life. So that one's really good. I can bring up a couple. I'm looking at my stack right now. Um, the taurine primate study in terms of, extending the lifespan of primates by taking 2 to 3 grams of taurine per day, I think is super interesting. There's some people trying to refute it now, but that's one I'm sticking behind for the near future for sure. Taurine's cheap. It's like I get it from bulk supplements, and the longevity impact can be very real if that data holds up. Uh, you know, my homocysteine supreme really helped. It's a B vitamin complex, really helped lower my homocysteine levels, which was one that we tracked through labs. That's been a great impact. And the new one I'm trying, I gotta say, I think it's working. Is There's this company Biomics. They make Nella and V-Nella. So they've gone out and studied the gut microbiome of elite athletes, and they have found that the elite endurance athletes have a specific strain that no one else has, and they have added that to a probiotic. And your ability to break down lactic acid, increases in HRV, like the really interesting stuff. So those are my
What is this one called again? Because this one now just got important. Okay.
yeah. So the brand
Hang
is
on.
yeah.
Slow down. Stop the tape. This one
It's a
just got
fun
important.
one. Yeah, yeah. It's called the company is called Fit Biomics. Biomics, and their two products are called Nella and V Nella. And they're lovely people. I've met them recently. Um, and so those are my latest additions to the stack right now that I'm excited to stick with for a bit.
What's the best investment you've made in your health?
I mean, I do think the functional medicine doctor, my kind of concierge doctor, transformed my life, and my personal trainer transformed my life. Um, and those, yeah, I mean, okay, so here's a really crazy one that I don't think I've ever publicly shared before. So I used to be like, 300 pounds, right? So even when I got in really good shape, I would never look good. And so I did a abdominoplasty, like a tummy tuck in 2020. And it changed my fucking life. Like I was like, oh my God, like I don't have a big hanging sack of skin in my stomach anymore. And it motivated me to like be like, okay, well, like you can actually see, like yourself losing weight now. Like this is great. That and honestly, like hair transplant surgery is probably one of the best things that I did too when just in terms of lowering day-to-day stress. So like I honestly think like, I don't talk about the cosmetic thing that much, but when I've told my friends, about that stuff and then seen them go and get some of the cosmetic work done, um, the dividends on this, they say it's one of those things that you never really have like buyer's remorse for. It's like one of the things you actually like, pays long-term dividends. And I agree with it.
So do I, and I think I appreciate you sharing that because I think a lot of this is about breaking down some of those stigmas and stereotypes.
Yeah.
and
This is
make
what you want to be
make
talking about,
right,
in the
make these
midlife
things more
male right here.
conversational.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is exactly it. Whether it's a TRT conversation, an erectile
Mhm.
dysfunction conversation, a veneers conversation,
Yeah,
Botox conversation, a hair
sure.
transplant conversation, and like you said, you get into these situations where you finally become comfortable around people, or and having we took a group of guys to Aspen, last year, and as it turned out, as we're going around this, talking about stuff, it's like four of the guys there's. One guy talked about his hair transplant, and the other goes, "I had one. I
Yeah,
had
I
one."
do
Like
one. I do one.
right,
Yeah,
you'd
yeah.
never,
Yeah.
you'd never have known, like
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
they put it out there. And these things that you're talking about that develop, I think, help with confidence and security. Again, emotional well-being. It's
It's
not just
yeah.
the physical, but it's like the emotional and the spiritual, and then you can get into the financial and the physical and all that. But like these things really, really matter for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And like, you know, it, it's one of those things that took me a long time to be able to talk about, like the hair one took me a long time. And then all of a sudden I realized how inspiring it was for other people to hear it because they had been thinking about it or worried about it. And then like all of a sudden you have four friends who go and get them and they thank you wholeheartedly for it. Right. And like I remember the first people I ever told about scheduling the tummy tuck was the men's group and the way they supported me through it, like just like honestly, because I was so scared, and it was really really great.
Like you said, it returns dividends outside of other things that you can just buy, I think, which is really, really, important. I mean, you
Yeah,
can buy expensive clothes, or the
yeah,
car or the other things. But when you're talking about that investment, in yourself and how you feel about yourself, if I was just naked and looking in the mirror overall, that's the real deal right there.
yeah.
More
Look, I think it's important to also like to not they really worry about like after you get one cosmetic surgery, don't do another one for at least a year and things like that. Like don't get it like it's not even an event. Like it really is the way it has changed my internal dialogue and like nervous system has been amazing. Yeah, really.
morning ritual. You
Yeah,
talked about again not having the 90 step, morning routine.
yeah,
We covered all that. Do you have a morning must do or a little?
yeah. You got to drink a cup of coffee. No, I my morning like honestly, I think when before baby came along, I immediately went to the gym, like and it was like I had to do it first thing in the morning. It had to be if I got distracted, excited about a work thing, I would just start working and not get it. So that was like I'm a morning workout guy. I've gone through phases of morning meditations, things like that. But right now, honestly, it's uh, there's nothing exciting about my morning routine right now. But I'm open to hearing what I should do. So,
Biggest health myth that men fall for.
oof, oof, love that question. Biggest myth. I, you know, it's a great question. I'd have to put more thought into that. I'm trying to think of what I have fallen for. You know what? Yeah, I would say that like okay, back to like the surgery, cosmetic stuff. Those things like the cool sculptings and like, the like non-surgical, let's take some of your money and like maybe you're gonna see something. Like I
Yeah,
think
like
people
it's not TRT, it's a TRT pill, like so like
yeah,
take it or you don't kind of thing.
yeah, I think the like I want to do it without actually doing it stuff is the dangerous or just a waste of money, to be honest, for the most part.
I like that answer. Yeah, I think that's really good. The one habit that changed everything for you.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, drawing that line on the immovable object of my trainer sessions in my 30s was just absolutely vital for me. Um, it just was immovable. Work couldn't win over it. And without that, I would always just regress back to being unhealthy.
Mm.
That's right.
Steve, you've been great. Guys, if you have any questions here, if anybody wants to put something in the chat, I do want to leave that open a little bit. Steve, you've been great. I really appreciate all your openness and transparency on everything.
Yeah,
I love what you're doing.
thanks.
So anything I can do to support what you're building with Supco,
Oh, check it out, supp.co. You can, if you want to see my stack, supco/Steve, grab the app and give us a 5-star review. And, it's great.
I had
awesome.
a I had a couple. This is Justin speaking. Steve,
Sure.
a lot for sharing a bunch of your backstory. And man, I've used GroupMe.
Yeah.
It
Awesome.
was a key tool for my EO group to chat. So we appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I had a couple questions.
Yeah.
One, um, I'm curious on your health journey. So you really emphasized supplements.
Yeah.
And then I also heard you say that like a key thing you were kind of dealing with is you wanted your weight to be less. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious like how you attacked it. Was it supplements first?
Yeah.
Was it the functional doctor first?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so definitely the functional doctor and diet and exercise. The boring diet and exercise was number one, right? Like I don't credit supplementation as the thing that made me lose weight. Like I think that those things can they're I look at the supplements as more of the like added support layers that are making up for a lot of deficiencies or giving you an edge, but not like the transformations. But what's really cool is that like man, this Ozempic era is like a whole new era, right? Like, and what has been amazing to watch, my family, my brother was, overweight and he's crushed it on tirzepatide, like 70 pounds. Like he's in the best shape he's probably been in. So maybe he was in better shape in 10th grade. But then he's gotten really into supplementation, peptides, things like that. And I'm seeing so many people, uh, they're doing, I think the right order is probably diet and exercise, sleep, diet, exercise type stuff. And then on the tweaking and the dialing in and these things, you come to the supplements. The thing that's tough, I think, is that the easiest thing to do to feel healthier today is press buy on a supplement.
yeah.
Right? You didn't need to see a doctor. You didn't need to get off your ass. Like you just press buy. So a lot of people end up kind of going, first on these things, and might have the wrong expectations. But I think that's an important thing you're going to see more and more from us too, is the proper expectation setting. I mean, some people give up on things also after not feeling something after a day, but they're supposed to be, checking labs in 4 months or 3 months, and they don't give it the time. So,
Uh,
we want to properly level set on this.
I'm also kind of curious from your personal experience if there were, if maybe with the help of the functional medicine doctor or your own personal experience or whatever, a supplement that helped you in your particular situation.
Yeah,
Was there something you were dealing with that the supplement
totally.
helped you with? Or was it more a situation of like, all right, I kind of got exercise, I kind of got diet, I kind of got sleep. Let me just try to get like a good supplement stack based on research that suggests.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. There's stuff in my stack that is research, like the taurine I was talking about, but CoQ10 absolutely essential to be taking if you're on a statin. Like not like your CoQ10 levels are going to be depleted in a big way. That's how you're going to run into trouble on it. So you got to do that, right? As I mentioned, my homocysteine levels were very high. It's like an inflammation marker in the body that the B vitamins did a great job of taking down. The fish oil and related to the heart type stuff. There are ones if you want to move some things like your glucose and you're not going to do a GLP-1, checking out berberine. Like berberine's got some natural powers to really lower your blood sugar and be a natural path to that, which is really cool. So some of those things get more targeted. And then, the creatine research is also incredible. It's the most researched supplement I think out there. And now the breakthroughs on brain health and stuff are getting, stronger. Um,
Creatine's
yeah,
a,
so yeah, go
creatine's a
ahead.
great example because I religiously take my creatine every day, but I haven't really done like I don't know if it's working or not. Like, I mean, everything seems to be good, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to take it because the research is solid. And
Try
also,
not taking it for a month.
yeah, I might.
See if you know, because like honestly, if you like see where it goes, not taking it for a month. And I think this is the thing you're going to see from us, as we get into next year too, is like put it all to the test. Let's give it a shot. So
I have one last
yeah,
question,
go for it.
and I may just be teeing up something to follow up with you afterwards, but
Cool.
my training is also in computer science. Carnegie Mellon, man, that was like one of my dream schools,
Sure.
and very awesome that you went there. I really would love to hear a little bit of experience share on the comment you said of, okay, you've been writing code and building enterprise grade products for, 20 something years. I'm 45, so I've almost followed that same arc with you.
Yeah.
And how you're actually getting leverage out of AI. Because I mean, I played around with the tools and whatever. All that being said, I don't want to hijack this
I'll give you the quick. I'll give you the quick. It's
I would
easy.
love to kind of hear
Yeah,
more.
look, started on Copilot, moved to Cursor, using the Claude 4 models. GPT-5 came out today. Like getting your cursor set up and then getting your cursor rules files defined so that you actually can kind of whip the AI into shape is an extremely important thing. And when that's up and running, you're a superhuman. The Sonnet 4 kind of max models and things like that are so powerful. And then I do some wacky things is I use a thing called Devin, which allows me to actually just like slack a feature idea and it goes off and does a pull request, robot working in the background. Um, it ain't that much more complicated, but what I will just say to you is remember, today is the worst it's ever going to be. The tools are just going to get better. You gotta immerse yourself in it. It took me honestly the Palisades fire when I was off for 2 months after, and I just like before I started getting back into work, I was like, let me just catch up on all these tools, and just had the breakthrough, and it's been absolutely revolutionary.
How would you describe the analogy? Like, so you say you got 4-person team, and before you maybe had 20 or
Yeah.
30 or whatever. So the AI is doing what? It's replacing the junior developer that would have like built out whatever that it's building
Yeah,
out.
it's like I have a team of like 10 junior developers that work for me, and then I'm doing review and tweaks and deploying the code and owning it. So it's like, each one of us is becoming like the mythical 10x engineer, if you will.
So the AI gave you 10 sort of air quotes free junior developers
Yeah.
that you would have
And
been
I wouldn't
paying.
even necessarily call them junior anymore because
Yeah.
I'm able to work on things that I don't even know, which is like it's like really a little I know kung fu vibe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Steve.